Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation is Gauri Mahalla Pehla. Kirat Piaa Neh Metai Koi, Kya jana kya aage hoye, Jo tis paana soi hua, Avar na karne wala dua, Na jana karm kevd teri daat, Karm dharm tere naam ki jaat rahao, Tu evd data devanhar, Tot nahi tud bhagat bhandar, Kiya garb na aave raas, Jio pind sab teri tere paas, Tu marj wal hai baks milaए, ज्यों पावें त्यों नाम जपाएं, तू दाना बीना साचा सिर मेरे, गुरमत दे भरोसे तेरे, तन में मैल नाही मन राता, तन में मैल नाही मन राता, गर्भ बचनी सच शब्द पछाता, तेरा तान नाम की वडियाई, नानक रहना भगत सरनाई. This passage is really about self-erasure, erasing the self, not being attached to the outcome of one's actions. The Guru begins in the first section by saying, Kirat Piaa Neh Metai Koi, Kya jana kya aage hoye. I know not what fate awaits me, because no one can really rub out the effects of their actions. Kirat Piaa Neh Metai Koi, Jo tis paana soi hua, Avar na karne wala dua. The outcome is always in accord with the law. Jo tis paana, hukam, the law. So there is a context here within which we act and within which we feel the effects of our actions. None other can alter it. In other words, we cannot control that. That is controlled by hukum. We need to really reflect on the word kirat here, because it ordinarily means activity and work. And that is how it has been translated in most translations that I have seen. However, if one considers the rahautuk that is going to follow, which is na jana karam kevd teri daat, karam dharm tere naam ki jaat. Here, Guruji is referring to karam dharm, which suggests religious practice. So it seems to this translator that it might be more appropriate to translate Kirat Piaa Neh Metai Koi to mean no religious practice is actually going to erase the tendencies of my haume. It cannot erase the haume. That, it seems to this narrator, is the real message here. Na metai koi. No matter what religious practice you adopt. Because what is being stressed here is that the ego is tied to the outcome of its actions. Because what happens is that when we perform an action out of ego, egoic actions are always attended by a feeling of I. I am doing this. I am the doer, the karta. And also, there is a desire to consume the result. We want to be the bhukta as well. So the law says, if you feel that you are the doer, the karta, then the law dictates that you must also be the bhukta, the consumer. And this is what creates this karmic cycle, which a manmukh ego perpetuates. So this attachment to the outcome of one's actions is what causes us to get into this self-perpetuating cycle. So when Guruji says here, kya jana kya aage hoye, he is in effect telling us that the way to act is not to be attached to the fruit of one's actions, to free oneself from traces of ego when doing something. Because when we do attach ourselves and we do want a certain outcome, what we're really doing is we are resisting the natural flow of events. We are causing resistance. And that resistance is what causes anxiety and grief. So in the Rahau, what he is repeating and stressing again is that I know not of any religious practice that can measure the greatness of your benediction. Na jana karam kevad teri daat. All religious practice and deeds are subsumed in Naam, in knowledge of the self. In other words, with self-knowledge, all the benefits of all the religious practices get incorporated. Bottom line, all external practices are ego-driven, and therefore you get caught up in wanting to do them. So Naam here literally means name, but it implies knowledge of that which is named, because when we name something, we are associating that named object with a set of knowledge about that object. But in Gurbani, Naam is used generically. It implies that the Creator cannot be named, but it is pointing to knowledge of that Creator, which is immanent in nature. And that knowledge far exceeds all religious practice. That's the point. So the aim of a Sikh should be to strive for that inner awareness, the relationship between the inner and the outer, between the individual self and the universal self. What is my connection with the universe that I'm living in? It is that awareness that Guruji is pointing to, and that exceeds any religious practice that you can engage in. And the giver, the benefactor, is great beyond description. Tu evada datta devanahar, tot nahi tud pagat pandar. For the devotee, for the pagat, your treasures are inexhaustible. The resources are inexhaustible for those who have erased their ego, because it removes the barrier to connecting with the power of this Creator. Kiya garb na ave ras. So any action, again, done out of self-conceit is fruitless. Therefore, Guruji says, I submit my body and soul and spirit to you. Jio pind sab tere paas. Paas usually means near or with you, but it also connotes being tied down, being limited by. So it is quite fair to say that Guruji here is saying that even my body and my spirit and my soul is yours. I really don't own it. He goes on, Tu maar jivalne bakse milai. Here he's addressing the Supreme Self and says, only you can kill my ego. Maar jivalne. So really, what is it that is being killed, and what is it that is that is being brought alive? It is the ego that is being erased, and it is the self that is being brought alive. Because mar jiwale to mean death and life, we know that as a matter of course. That is hukam. So here we require the benediction, the compassion of the self for the union to happen. That's why the Guru is saying, only you can kill my ego. And only through your compassion can I be awakened and brought to union with you. Mar jiwale baksh milai. Jo paveं tyo naam japaएं. As you please, bestow upon me knowledge of the self, meaning your knowledge. Tu dana bina sacha sir mere. You are the wise master, Dana, the all-seeing, Bina, the eternal one, Sacha, who is without doubt the protector above my head, Sir mere. Sir can also mean for sure, without doubt. So we have incorporated both of those meanings. You are without doubt the protector above my head. I have faith that you will grant me good wisdom. Gurmat dei parose tere. So we're seeing here that transcendent self-knowledge requires complete self-erasure. Now that outcome, by its very definition, cannot be realized by the effort of the ego, because then the ego is involved. So we see in this passage a supplication and a deep yearning, an asking for, a begging. Grace is required. And in the end, tan mein mail nahi manarata. The body, mind, spirit is cleansed. What is it cleansed of? The impurity of the ego, the barrier of the ego, the constriction of the ego. And manarata, imbued, it becomes imbued with self-knowledge. How? Gurbachani sach sabad pachata. When the words of the Gur Enlightener, Gurbachani, spoken words, such sabad pachata, when you listen to the spoken words of the Enlightener, and then they reveal to you, they give you the discernment of the eternal word, such sabad pachata. That is to say, it connects you. And through the gift of self-knowledge, we tap into your power. Tere taan, tera taan, naam ki vadiyai. And so Nanak seeks protection by submission to the self. That is where Nanak wishes to reside. With that thought, until the next time, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.